What do you guys want to talk about?
Let me talk to you.
Yeah.
Throwdown Nation, we are live. It is a Sunday. We are rolling on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter/X, Facebook, and Twitch. And it is episode 177 of the Throwdown, where we celebrate the art and sport of professional wrestling with a strong focus on the indies. I'm your host, Matt, and today we are throwing down with a wrestler based out of the UK. Fairly new to the business, but already making an impact on the vibrant scene out there. Ladies and gentlemen, Martyn Cardia. How you doing?
I'm fine, yeah. Good evening from here anyway, and probably good morning to everyone in the States.
Absolutely. And let me turn your attention to the ticker running on the bottom of the screen. That contains all, or at least most, of Martyn's social media accounts, along with mine. So do us a favor. If you aren't a follower or subscriber, please take the time. Go to each of those platforms and do so. It definitely helps both of us. So we'll go ahead and get started with the first and the most obvious question, and that is, how long have you been wrestling?
So I started wrestling in December last year, so December 2024. But I kind of started at a weird time. I started like a week before the Christmas break. So I'd say probably January 2025 was when I really started. And then I've been wrestling on shows since April. So yeah, coming up to going to be a year soon, obviously once we get Christmas through. But yeah, so not that long in the grand scheme.
Gotcha. So who actually has trained you?
So I'm based at Prize Wrestling Academy. It's an academy based in Herefordshire, in the UK, and our head trainer there is Chris Royals. He's been in the business for 15 plus years, kind of technician style wrestler. So we train on a Tuesday night to their Combat Academy in Hereford. So yeah, that's who I've been trained by, and I've also been trained but one-on-one for about 5 months with someone you had on your podcast very recently, Brazen.
Oh yes.
So I did some one-on-one training with him as well, kind of when I started initially, because I've known him since I was at school. We're quite close friends. He actually came to watch me wrestle last night. So yeah, we've been friends for years. So that was kind of just made sense for me as well to kind of have that alongside.
Absolutely. I definitely had a great experience having him on the show. He's an interesting character.
He is 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So, coming into professional wrestling, did you have an athletic background prior to this? Had you done other sports? Had you done other martial arts? Did you come with a background that helped, getting started in the sport?
I always played football or soccer since I was tiny baby. Well, 4, 5, and then played badminton as well. That was quite a sport that I played at quite a decent level. But no kind of gymnastics, mixed martial arts. Did a bit of boxing when I was kind of in my early teens, but nothing that kind of really prepared me for wrestling, to be honest.
Gotcha. So, what would you say in the early portions of your training, what would you say was the most challenging aspect of professional wrestling for you to kind of wrap your mind and body around?
I think probably the physicality aspect. You see it on the TV and you go watch it live and you think, well, that's a 20-minute match and they've been going, and they're constantly running about, they're doing it. And you think, you don't kind of appreciate how fit, even the big guys in wrestling, you might get guys 6'6", 6'7", 300 pounds. You think, how are they doing this? And when I went into the academy and started training, and we start a lot of our sessions based on cardio, and I would drop out after probably 10 minutes, 15 minutes, because I was just not prepared physically for what was kind of the next thing further down the line. That probably the roles, the rolling element of wrestling, of safety thing. I'm quite a big guy. I'm quite short. I've lost weight since I've started wrestling, but I was pushing probably at one point 21, 22 stone. So that was hard for me to grasp that, and the technique and everything, because it is hard. It's naturally harder. So those things, I'd say the fitness element and how cardiovascularly strong you need to be, and kind of the roles, was my first two things I kind of had to get my head around.
Gotcha. So, I'm presuming, because this has been the case with the majority of people I've had on the show. So I'm presuming that you've been at least a fan of this stuff the majority of your life. Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Well, what would you say is your earliest wrestling related memory?
I couldn't put my finger on a specific match or moment, but I can just remember that it makes me chuckle now. I used to put it on the TV, and my parents would go, "Oh, turn that rubbish off. I don't want to watch." "Oh, it's all fake. I don't want to watch it. It's rubbish." And then I'd be like, "Well, I like it, So then I would start watching it when tablets and iPads and all that became a thing. You could then, or your mobile phone, I could then start watching it. But I do remember, probably a good memory of mine was when WWE used to do, well, they do UK tours still, but they used to run a holiday place called Butlins Minehead. And it's like a kids holiday camp, but they put a WWE show on. And I remember I nagged my mum to take me, and my dad, and they had to sit through, I think it was like 2-3 hour show. And I remember my dad, who's not into wrestling in any way, going, "Blimey, the Undertaker's entrance took longer than he was in the ring."
Yep.
And I still, that's probably one of the most memories that stick with me, is that probably going to my first live event, seeing it with my parents, who were so not anti-wrestling, but just don't understand it and don't want to.
Right. So, was there a particular point that you can remember where your fandom kind of turned and you started thinking, I think I could actually do this? Was there a point, or was it more of just an organic, gradual process?
So I think as a family, because I've got a 2-year-old boy and a 10-year-old stepson, and obviously a partner, and we started going to wrestling live events. And this is where you'll see elements of my wrestling story links back to Brazen. You'll find that I'll always bring it back, because he has played quite a big part in it. We went to watch one of the shows he was on, and I stayed behind to have a chat with him, and I was saying about how I enjoyed the show and and he went, "Well, why don't you have a go? Why don't you try it yourself? There's nothing stopping you from doing that." But I was in a mindset of, I can't do that. I ain't gonna be any good at that. No one's gonna want to watch me wrestle. All those kind of self-doubts go through your head.
Yeah.
But that was probably the first moment where I started to get that little light bulb moment of thinking, maybe I can have a go.
Yeah, absolutely. And you were mentioning earlier that in terms of in-ring and such, you haven't been doing this that long, but you definitely are making an impact on the local scene. And you had mentioned before we went on the air that you had a little something you wanted to share with the viewers.
I do.
That is a very recent accomplishment.
Yes. So last night I competed in a Stranger Things inspired Hellfire Fatal 4-way match. So it was myself the current prize junior heavyweight champion, Big Deal Dante, a wrestler that's been on the scene for 20 plus years. He's called the Judge. And another wrestler that's been in the academy called Don Storm. And it was kind of, we had a big inflatable dice. You had to roll the dice, and whichever number it landed on corresponded to what weapon you had. So there was a bowling pin, a stop sign, a steel chair, a fork, some 2x4, and then the last one was no weapon at all. So yeah, the match ended and I came home with this. So this is the wrestling junior heavyweight championship, which was I'm now into my first day of my reign. So yeah, a very proud accomplishment for me.
Congratulations. You know,
thank you.
They say that the first belt is definitely a special moment. Would you concur with that?
Oh, 100%. And I think what made it better is that my stepson and my girlfriend and my mother-in-law were all in the crowd, and Brazen was all there to watch it, and they didn't have a clue it was coming.
Oh, that's beautiful. That is
definitely.
very, very cool.
Yeah.
So, you know, I know obviously that the physical side of this is extremely important. And so in terms of your work in the gym, what exercise or group of exercises do you feel is most important toward keeping Martyn Cardia Martyn Cardia?
Yeah. I think for me, we do quite a lot of interval-based training, which I think is quite key, and also stretches, keeping everything muscles loose, especially neck. I think it's kind of something that's forgotten, but we do neck exercises every single training session because it's the part where we know things can go wrong. And I think you've got to kind of have a stronger neck and give yourself the best chance possible if something was to happen. But where I'm quite lucky, the academy I'm based at it's quite a relaxed and it's quite a fun and quite an inclusive training academy. So it doesn't feel like fitness because we'll play dodgeball, we'll play different like pyramid games where we're doing like press up, sit up, squats, and make it a bit of fun. And the trainer Chris and our we got two associate trainers, wrestling names the Cyborg and Daniel Arrowsmith is the other one. They kind of keep it a bit of fun, and you don't feel judged and you don't feel kind of pressured. Like if you have to step out, it's fine, not a big deal. They're not shouting at you, they're not on at you. That's been a massive thing for me because I'm quite a confidence person, and if someone shuts me down and makes me feel low, I won't come back because I'm not that type of person. But they're not, and I can't thank the academy enough in for everything they've done. And I think that's why I wanted to kind of give them a shout out, because if anyone's looking to in the Herefordshire area, definitely come and have a chat with us because we're so inclusive, we're so friendly, and we would welcome you.
Gotcha. So UK Paul from the CCP podcasting group sends along his congratulations on the title win.
Thank you very much.
And so let's see here. So away from wrestling, what are some of your other hobbies and interests?
Well, I think we kind of, me and you had a little brief discussion prior to coming on air that we have quite a shared interest, I would say. I've been in the medical field. I did nursing before I did paramedics. So I'd say it's not just a job for me. I love my job. You know, I don't think there's anything, you can probably appreciate this and understand where I'm coming from, where no day is the same.
Yes.
It's not a 9 to 5 job.
No.
You're not in the office with this task to do, this task to do, this task, lunch, home.
Right.
You could be going to anything, you could see anything, you could be dealing with a variety of people. And you're able to make, the way I put it in my job is I'm able to make an impact on someone's worst day, because when they call an ambulance, that's their worst day. And it's my aim to try and make that slightly better, whether that's making them better physically, or it's just being that person there to communicate with them. So that's a big, I'd say, hobby of mine, or interest as well. And then the other one is I now don't play soccer. I used to play for years, but now I manage a team with one of my friends, Paul. So we manage a grassroots football team. So that keeps me kind of occupied on the weekends. I'm not wrestling, to be honest.
Very cool. Very cool. But yeah, I completely agree with you. In my EMS days, I did enjoy the variety to the job, and you see people at their very best and also at their very worst, and and it is a great teaching laboratory of the human condition. I'll say that much for it. So another outside of wrestling question, and that is, outside of wrestling, what person inspires you the most and why?
So outside of wrestling, trying to think, probably, and I'm going to keep it, is probably my mum. I know it's not someone famous, it's not someone, but I just think that my mum is such a strong person in everything, and she's been through quite a lot in her life, and she's strong. She's a great mum. She's a great nan now, and I think she is kind of so resilient as a person. I think that is who I look up to, and that's who, even in the darkest of days, she was always there to put a smile on and make sure that I had everything I needed through life. So I would say that it's probably not the standard answer that everyone gives of, oh, it's a celebrity or it's this, but I'd say my mum is probably my role model, someone I always look up to. Gotcha.
So, what does your family think about all of this? What do they think about the fact that you are pursuing your wrestling dreams? Do you have good support from the family, or are they a little confused, or what's the overall opinion?
So here's another exclusive. My mum and dad don't know. Okay. They think I referee, and that's how it's been. I don't know if they truly believe that, but it's not a conversation. I might find out at some point, but it's not a conversation that I want to have right now. So they think I referee, and that's, I don't think that. I think they know more than that. I just don't think they bring it up because it's not something they approve of, not something they would ever approve of. So I just don't. But my partner was the one who got me into it. She's the one who saw the Facebook advertisement for the Wrestling Academy and kind of forced me out the door eventually. After a few weeks of stalling, she forced me out the door to actually go and join and to go and train. So yeah, that side's great. And a lot of my friends and family as well, people I play football with and everything, they come and watch the shows, and some of them have never watched wrestling. My partner's mum is nearly 70, and she came to her first wrestling show and was throwing her hands up in the air, shouting, cheering, and she went, it's a roller coaster of emotions, and I never thought that it would be so fun. So like, wrestling can be for anybody.
Absolutely. So looking over at the Instagram chat, we've got several people hanging out with us. We've got Melissa Ann 317, Amit Empire 80, KP Productions 87. We've got upcoming guest Naomi King and Side Axe.
Hello, everyone.
So, they say that the best wrestling personas are usually yourself turned up to 11. And, at this point, you may still sort of be trying to figure out your overall in-ring persona. But tell us a bit about in-ring Martyn Cardia and kind of compare and contrast him with everyday you.
So I'll start with the name, because that's probably where it should start. Martyn is my middle name, my dad's name. Cardia, again, wasn't my creation. It was Brazen's creation, actually. I'll give him that one. So I said to him, I'm trying to think of like medical names and all this. And he come back and said, give me a bit of time, I'll come back. And he come back with Cardia. And he said, it's the Greek term for the word heart. And I went, perfect, I'll go with that. And then my singlet is green for like the ambulance paramedic green. And it's got a giant heart on the front, hence similar to this. Yeah. It's got a big giant heart on the front of it. So it's all kind of linked in with my day job, if that makes sense. So obviously Cardia, the heart, the dark green to go with the same color as a paramedic's uniform. My entrance music has a defibrillator charging up in it. It has a siren in it, and it has like a rock. I don't know if you might not have seen it, but there was a UK TV series called Casualty, and it's that theme tune, but like remixed into like rock. So all of it encompasses kind of me, really, and from the name all the way to the entrance, everything kind of has a medical related theme.
Very cool, very cool. So, out of curiosity, have any of your ambulance co-workers come to see you wrestle?
Not yet, but they've threatened it a few times. So, funnily enough, actually, I thought, being a bit naive, I thought no one's going to know from work. No one's ever going to find out I do it. And then I walked into the crew room, and they went, "Oh, hi, Martyn Cardia," and I was like, oh no, someone's seen it and it's started. And now I get it every time. Someone will go, do you want to fight? Or someone will say, put a mask on. Or someone will say, why don't you call yourself the defibrillator? And all that. So all light-hearted jokes. And they've all threatened to come for a Christmas party and watch. So it hasn't happened yet, but it probably is going to happen at some point.
You know, I was actually just thinking the defibrillator would actually be a great name for a finishing move.
Yeah, mine's currently called Code Blue.
Oh, there we go. Even better.
So it still links in.
Yeah. So tell us about your very first match. What was it like? How did it go?
Yeah, so I didn't know. So we trialed a little thing at Prize. So the trainer decided to trial like a pre-show, but like pre-filmed. So I was going to be on that show, and I did wrestle on it, but I don't kind of count that as my first match as such. So we did that show. It was like a couple of matches, and it was a couple of the trainees who were like on the brink of going on to the shows, that just needed a little bit of experience or a little bit of exposure in the ring. So we did that. And then I thought, great, it's my day done. I'm going to referee or do something to help out. And then Daniel Arrowsmith, one of the guys who helps train us, was like, yeah, you're on the show tonight. And I was like, someone had dropped out, I believe, or plans had changed like they always do in wrestling. And then I was on the show. And I was match number 4 before the main event in a tag match. But I'd had no time to prepare, which looking back, I think was probably a good thing, because sometimes not knowing is better than having a week or two to think about what's going to happen, if that kind of makes sense. So I teamed with a guy called Caden Rook, who's been on and off wrestling for quite a while. He took a little break. So we teamed up against a guy who's now became our commissioner at Prize called JR Talbot. He's kind of a Big Show-esque type guy, kind of a clear house, big powerhouse. And a guy called James Terry from a promotion in Birmingham, who's been on the scene a long time and was kind of the veteran of that match, the one who kind of helped create, structure everything. And I think what made that night better was that my partner said, oh, I can't make it because I couldn't get childcare and something. And then I was outside the curtain, ready to go. I had my phone, put my phone down, and I had a text saying, look out for me, I'm in the crowd. And I think knowing she was there alleviated any kind of, not all of the stress, because that would be a lie for me to say that, but it took a little bit of pressure off knowing there was someone there I could look, and who was kind of vouching for me and cheering for me and cheering me on. So the match went kind of as expected, nothing really untoward. A few missed spots, a few missed bits of footwork, which you expect is going to be the case in your probably even in your first year, 18 months of wrestling. You're going to make quite a few mistakes in some places. And then I had that match. So that was my first tag match, and then my first singles match was a bit of a baptism of fire. So I think it was a 25 or 30-minute match. I think we ran over time. And it was against a guy called Bronco Billy Wright. He's from Newcastle. He's 6'4". He's 24 stone, 23 stone. And that was my first singles match. And he's all over the place. He's going to Japan, he's Germany, he's in Italy. He's wrestling all over the place. So his career is proper taken off. And that was my first singles match. And then we are now kind of enemies as such. We're kind of building to a trilogy between us. I've got one over on him, he's got one over on me, so he knows I'm coming for him for that third match, definitely.
Nice. So my follow-up question is, we've heard about the first match. Now tell us about your favorite match that you've been a part of, and I'm presuming it might be the title win from last night.
Yeah. If you'd have asked me this yesterday, it probably would have been a bit of a different answer. So I'll break that into two. So probably at the moment, my penultimate is going to be winning the bout. I think you probably knew that was going to be probably the answer to this question, to be honest. But also, I think having the chance to, as I just mentioned, Bronco Billy Wright, he's done so much to my career, kind of in such a short space of time. Like I said, we're building to that third match, but he is such a professional guy. He's a respectful guy, and having matches with him, so our kind of little saga that we've got going on, would probably be my second most kind of important / favorite, just because it's big man fight, I know there's different types of wrestling people like your death matches. Some people like tag matches. Some people like comedy, but that's just two big men having a fight, and I do enjoy it.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
One advantage that you may have in terms of being a wrestler with medical knowledge is, having the knowledge of human anatomy and how things work within the body can actually be advantageous, just in terms of knowing some of the science behind working a limb, that kind of thing. And there have been a few other wrestlers, over the years with a medical background. For instance, in WWE, he was known as Big Kaz, but in TNA, he was Morrissey. I don't know if he finished, but he went to medical school,
Really?
and he may at this point actually have his MD. I don't know for sure, but I know that he gets pressed into service backstage a lot, just helping out on the medical side of things as well as his wrestling. Mm-hmm. So, if you could only be one, would you rather be great in the ring or great on the mic?
Great in the ring. The reason for that is I think if you came to watch me in a match, I'm going to wrestle for 15, 20 minutes. I'm going to talk for 2 minutes. So I think the larger proportion, the large percentage of Martyn Cardia is going to be my in-ring. So I'd rather you come away from a show and go, oh, that Martyn Cardia, he was laying them forearms in, or, he was doing A, B, and C, than, he had a great promo, but his match was dreadful. Do you see what I'm saying? I think that, and yes, your promos can get you bookings, but it can only get you so far. The in-ring quality has to be there for a promoter to want to continue to book you.
Absolutely. So, you've only been doing this for about a year, so I don't know if you've actually had the opportunity to kind of work both sides. But do you have a preference yourself between working heel or babyface?
So yeah, this is quite a little funny story. So I started and wanted to be a heel. Heel. That's all I wanted to be. That's all the ideas I had was heel.
Yeah.
The promoter went, I think you're going to be a babyface. I went, no, I think I'm going to be a heel. And we had a bit of to and fro, like you do, a bit of banter and a bit of a joke. And he went, I think you could be a babyface. He said, I haven't got any big guys who are baby faces. And I went, all right, you've got the experience, you've got the judgment, and you've been in the business a long time. I'll go with it. And to be honest, I don't think I'd want to be heel. I've done it once or twice on a camp show. I can do it. I think anyone can be a heel. It just means you're not a very nice, trying to be a not very nice person. But to be honest, anyone can put that on. But I think baby faces, I think naturally is a more difficult role, because a heel can come out and go, Herefordshire is a rubbish town and you all stink. And you've already got the crowd boo, and you've already got some cheap heat, right? Whereas the babyface has got to come out, G up the crowd. You've got to get the crowd G'd up mid-match, towards the finish, at the end. There's quite a lot of elements of crowd work as a babyface that I've had to get my head around, and it's the right times. I had a match recently with a guy called The Judge. Like I said, he's been around a long time in our business, 20 odd years. And we had a match, and it was one of our smaller shows. And after, he went, I liked working you, and I'll tell you one of the reasons why. He said, your crowd work wasn't just pointless crowd work. You did it at the right times to elicit the response from the crowd, which you needed, and told the story. He said, and that is something that's quite difficult to teach. It either comes naturally or it doesn't. So I think naturally for me, I could see myself staying as a baby. I don't see myself diverting paths anytime soon. And so I'd say hats off to Chris Royals. He made the right decision in putting me as a babyface, definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah. So do you have an all-time favorite match as a fan? A match that just really speaks to you and you just sort of find yourself going back to it, and it never really gets old. Do you have such a match?
Yeah, so I do. I've got, it's probably, you've heard this from quite a few people, Undertaker Mankind, Hell in a Cell.
Oh, yes.
I think for me, it's a funny one, because every wrestling fan hears it. Wrestling's fake. Wrestling's this. Okay, so you can fake throwing someone 20-odd foot off the top of a stile, through a table, him putting his tooth through his lip, breaking pretty much bones in his body, climbing back up and going back through. For me, that kind of highlights. Don't get me wrong, Mick Foley is, what he is, and he is a legend of the business, right? And he is one tough SOB.
The man was insane.
Yes.
I mean,
that's probably an extreme example, but that would be one. If someone says wrestling's fake, head over to that match, watch it, come back and tell me after that wrestling's fake.
Yeah. That, and another one that springs to mind for me is Samoa Joe versus Necro Butcher.
Never watched it, to be honest. I will though.
It's on YouTube. Give it a watch. You'll thank me. You'll thank me later.
You definitely will watch that.
So, piggybacking onto that question, do you have an all-time favorite promo as a fan?
Not really. Promos aren't really my thing, if I'm honest.
Okay.
So I know why people do them. I know why they're there, and they set up storylines and they help matches along and everything else. But I probably, where I don't pay, I probably should pay more of a focus on it. That's what my trainer always tells me. I probably haven't got one that springs to mind, to be honest.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
So, and this can be present day or past. Who would be a dream opponent? Who would Martyn Cardia love to have the opportunity to share a ring with?
So, Samoa Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Samoa Joe's style, I think, similar to kind of myself. He's probably a bit more athletic than me with kick wise, but the intensity, the power, the ferociousness of everything he does is kind of that. And at the moment, in probably everyday wrestling, probably controversial because some people don't like his style, but is Ilya Dragunov.
Oh, love Ilya Dragunov.
Yeah. So I just think that I watched one match with my partner the other day, and I said, watch his match. And it was 100 mile an hour. I think it was him and, was it Fraxium, one of the Fraxium members.
Oh, yeah.
And they just went at it. And she was like, after it, she went, that was 100 mile an hour for the whole thing. And I was like, he just brings that intensity. Whether it's his facials, whether it's his forearm that he does to kind of finish his matches, everything is meaningful to him. Everything makes the crowd believe that he is wanting it. And that, I'd say nowadays, I know Samoa Joe's still active, but someone who's up and coming through, I'd say probably Ilya Dragunov. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. And I completely agree with you about that match with Dragunov has now had matches with both Nathan Frazier and Axiom.
It was the Axiom one I watched.
Yeah, both of those matches have just been insane. And
yes,
I am a huge Fraxium fan. Those guys both, the sky is the limit for both of them. They are just insanely talented. So, I'm presuming it might be your finisher, Code Blue. But what is your favorite move? What is something you just really enjoy doing? And what exactly is Code Blue?
So a Code Blue is a sky high. So what D'Lo Brown used to do.
Right.
So once we'd done some training, I was kind of having a chat with one of the, and I was like, he was like, if you thought about something that you want as a finisher, a signature move, whatever you want to call it. I went, I haven't really got any ideas. Like World's Strongest Slam was one of mine. And that's called, you'll laugh at the name, is a myocardial crush. That's what I call it.
Nice.
So that's my World's Strongest Slam because you're coming down on top of someone. So that's on their chest. So that's where that one's come from. And then he was like, I bet the sky high. And I was like, so we watched a couple of videos on YouTube and I went, I reckon I could do that. So he runs in and I send him up. He nearly hits the lights. And he said, yeah, that's your finisher 100%. And then that's where the Code Blue has come from. Just trying to keep it medical related. But those are, that's why they're in my move set there. They are two of my most favorite moves.
Actually, an idea just sprung to mind while you were talking about that. If you wanted to do something that has a medical flavor to it, and it's also a shout out to an old school wrestler, you could do a power slam and call it a precordial thump, because Junkyard Dog's power slam he called the thump.
So, yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So just a thought.
It's not, and I also, funnily enough, on that one, I didn't do it, but we were practicing in training, and my friend went, I've got an idea. I went, go on. And he was like, you got your opponent in the corner, you're firing in forearms, left ventricle, right ventricle, left ace. That was his. I didn't go with it, but that was his, like, how you can put medical things into the gimmick if you want to make it that side.
Yeah. Fun fact, Back in my medic days, I actually used a precordial thump and converted a guy.
Really?
We were doing a transfer from one hospital to another. We were taking a patient out of ICU to go down to this other hospital,
Yeah.
and we had gotten about maybe 10 minutes away from the hospital we had left. I'm
Yeah.
sitting there talking to the guy, and he literally just slumps over on me.
Yeah.
And I look over at the monitor, and he's gone into BTAC. So I just balled up a fist and whacked him, and he comes up and continues talking,
Yeah.
like nothing happened.
Yeah, it's mad.
Yeah, and so I just leaned up to my partner. I said, "Turn this around. We're going back."
Take it back. Yeah.
Yeah. And then actually a couple of days later, one of our other trucks took the guy down, and ended up having a successful transfer at that point. But yeah, so but yeah, the precordial pump actually works.
Yeah. Yes.
So you haven't been doing this that long, so I'm not sure if this question fully applies, but I'll ask it anyway, and that is, what hurts right now?
My shoulder, my back. I've got my chest. So I've got some bruises and bumps and scrapes from last night. I got hit with a stop sign. I got hit over the head with a steel chair. So I had a little bit of a busy night last night. So I am a bit bashed up and a little bit sore today, but I always feel it. I've just gone into my 30s, so I've started wrestling at not an old age, but what they classify as an older age. When you look at people like Leon Slater, who is now wrestling at his level at his age, I would be classified as old. And I get out of bed in the mornings and I'm like, pushing on things to try and get up, and I'm a bit stiff and a bit achy until I kind of get going. So yeah, that's probably what I'm feeling, but it was worth it anyway. So that's the main thing.
Oh, for sure. Well, just wait until you're in your 50s. The 50s are a strange time, man. Your body starts doing weird stuff. You've got a lot to look forward to.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
So thus far in your wrestling career, what would you say is the worst bump you have taken?
I'm just trying to think. Probably a body slam on the wooden floor with no matting.
Oh, nice.
I called it on the fly as well. Came down, a little bit of a to and fro, and I went, body slam on the floor, and he went, what? I went, just do it. And then it was a bam and down, and I regretted it from that moment.
I'm sure.
That wasn't nice. Wasn't nice at all.
So what is your take on the role that social media is playing as a promotional tool in wrestling, specifically indie wrestling?
Huge, I think. Well, that's how me and you were talking today. If there wasn't social media, I wouldn't know about you. You wouldn't know about me. Same as when I did CCP. Same for bookings now. So I'm in a little chat with a couple of promoters currently looking to try and get myself out there. And you drop them a message, they'll come back and say, have you got any footage? So I send them the footage of your match. Imagine if I had to travel to every promotion's training school, train for so many months, then do a training match before you wouldn't be able to physically do it. So social media in that sense has helped with getting myself out, having a chat with yourself and your fans of the pod. And then obviously getting myself bookings. And also I think just in general, like Instagram for me is my main one, to be honest. It's what I use mostly. And I think it's just, you'll get random follows. Like I had a guy follow me yesterday, and I'd opened it and it was a guy from used to be on NXT UK.
Oh, cool.
And I'm like, why has he followed me? So it's like, why would you want to follow me? And then I've had some people from Spain, people from kind of the States, from these pods and things. And you think, when I post my, whether there's going to be a post coming out tonight, obviously, surprise, about what happened last night. And that'll be shared all over the world within a click of a button. You know, I make myself sound quite prehistoric when I say that, but when I was younger, social media was in its infancy.
Oh yeah.
You kind of, I remember it was the phones that were about that big. That you used to have infrared to send music, and it used to take about 10 years to send one song. And now, you know, I could send you a video. 5 minutes later, you're sat on your laptop watching it. It's.
Oh yeah.
I think it's. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying social media was a good thing. Social media can be a negative tool, whether it's hate, whether it's kind of posting stuff that's not appropriate. There is things about social media that I don't like, but I think in wrestling, it's essential. Because we've got, there's wrestlers that I'm sure you've seen that don't advertise themselves, and they're very good wrestlers, but they're limiting their self to the pool they're in. Like I've had a few bookings branching out slowly, but I've done Birmingham, I've been to Plymouth, I've been to Taunton, which is all in the UK, but like kind of separate sides. And it's like some of that will be word of mouth. But I think them seeing my social media and keeping people keep tabs on people. That's quite, you know, people will see this tonight, you know, with me winning a bout, and someone might look and go, oh, maybe we'll take a look at him or keep an eye on him, you know, and see where he goes in 6 months or 12 months. I am an advocate for social media if it's used correctly and appropriately.
Absolutely. And you know, you were talking about technology. It's kind of funny. My son, who is 16, has never lived in a world without Wi-Fi, and you know, trying to tell him what things were like back in the days of dial-up, he looks at me like I just got off the mothership. I mean, he's like, how did you even survive? And I'm like, look, that's how it was.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was the normality, wasn't it?
It was. So, knowing everything that you know at this point in your life, if you could give any advice to your younger self, what would it be?
Within a wrestling sense, I'd probably say go for it. I wish I didn't wait until my 30s. I wish I'd have done it in my early teens, coming into my early 20s. I wish I'd have been 10 years into my, like Brazen, for example. He's a few years off my age, but he's been in the business a long time. I wish I was in that situation. Obviously, I'm not, and that's something I've got to work through. But I think it's just go for it. And I think another thing on that, and I think you could probably agree with me on this one, we see life at its end, whether that's prematurely or whether that's naturally. And I think to be honest, that sometimes teaches you to just go for it. You know, life can be too short. Life can be cut short for whatever reason. And I think it's that of just grab it by the kahuna, just go for it now. That's the way I look at life.
Exactly. And, you know, like you said, you know, life is not promised to us. And like you said, it can be cut short for a reason, or sometimes cut short for no reason. It just happens. Yes. So do you have any pre-show traditions, any things that you try to do consistently before you walk through the curtain?
Listen to music.
What kind of music do you listen to?
I'm a bit more of like kind of a throwback. So like the 90s hits or 2000s hits, or when it was my era, when I was growing up, stuff that made me feel good or has links to different things I've done in my life. So I'll put that on, like, so if we're doing match planning, etc., I'll sit with my headphones in for 10, 15 minutes and allow everything to kind of soak in. Because I think it just distances myself, because you'll hear someone talking over there, you hear someone talking behind you, someone's over there talking about something, and you're there thinking, I haven't got this drilled down, A, B, C, D. So the music helps me just chill, process, keep calm, and then I'm ready to go.
Gotcha. So, quick rundown. What all do you carry in your gear bag, and do you carry anything unique or unusual?
No, probably quite standard painkillers, paracetamol, ibuprofen, as instructed on the box, of course. So no ODs here. And then what I do then is I carry some resistance bands for stretching, my boots, singlet, standard things, a fan. I hate overheating, feeling hot. Venues we wrestle in are boiling hot. The locker rooms are tiny. You've got 10 men, and some whoever crammed into one room, and it's so I've got a little neck fan, wrist tape, all standard kind of things, towels, all the basic stuff. Really, I wouldn't say there's anything out of my merch as well. That's within my case. So kind of my championship bout. I got to keep coming back to that every now and again when I get the chance. That will be in my suitcase.
Absolutely.
But yeah, nothing untoward, nothing kind of out of the ordinary, really.
So something that we've done in all of these that's just been kind of fun is we've let the current guest pose a question for the next guest. So a previous guest, a wrestler out of Texas by the name of Caius, posed this question, and that is, thus far in your career, have you had an injury? And if so, what did you do to overcome it?
Touch wood, I haven't had any injuries of note. I've had a few. I did nearly knock myself out on one of my first bumps in the singles match. I took a shoulder tackle from the Bronco Billy Wild guy, and I didn't tuck fast enough, and my head rebounded off the canvas. He laughed. He said, in a way, I've seen you stand up and your legs were all going all over the place. He said, so I turned round and worked the crowd for a minute to let you get yourself composure and get yourself back on the street. Because he said, I knew that you didn't know where you were at that point. So that's probably the closest I've been to an injury. And the other injuries will just be general tweaks and pulls and just general stuff that a bit of rest and, kind of sorts out.
Yeah, there is a big difference, as you know, between being hurt and being injured. You can wrestle hurt. People do it all the time, but you don't want to wrestle injured.
No, definitely not.
So, since this is part of a series, do you have a question that you would like to ask to the next guest?
Yeah. What's your career aspirations for the next 6 months of your career? What things do you want to do? What things do you want to achieve?
Oh, nice. How would you answer that?
Try and keep hold of the title for a little bit. Keep improving. Keep taking the feedback. I always have comments on how I take feedback quite well. Some people will ask for feedback, you give feedback, and they start being negative. I'm not like that. Even if it's something minute of detail, I want feedback. I send all my matches to Brazen. He's very harsh, but that's fine. That's what I want him to be, and he knows he can be like that. So yeah, I think it's keep kind of gradually improving, and just keep developing as a wrestler and keep enjoying it.
Absolutely. So we're pretty much at the end of things now. So do you have any upcoming shows or anything at all that you'd like to give some hype to?
So yeah, I've got a show next Saturday for a company called Nothing But Wrestling, so MBW. It's their Christmas show. So that'll be my next show that I'm on. So that's, I think it's the 6th of December. So that's an afternoon show. I'm not sure what the plans are yet for myself, but whatever it is, I will latch on and do what I can. And then my next prize show is looking like it'll be the end of January. So we got a bit of break over the Christmas period, coming into the new year, and then over to the first title defense at the end of January for me.
Very good. Very good. Well, as far as what we've got coming up here on the Throwdown, this Wednesday, December 3rd, God, I can't believe we're already into December. This is just crazy how quickly this year has gone. But
Yeah.
this Wednesday, December 3rd, 7 p.m. Eastern, I've got episode 178, and our guest is a Florida-based pro wrestler and newly minted color commentator, the Midwest Bluebird, Gage Holloway. He is definitely a name to watch on the Florida scene, and he got pressed into service doing color commentary for Chris Page's show that he promoted this past weekend. And then this Thursday, the 4th, also at 7 p.m. Eastern, I've got episode 179, and our guest is a fellow pro wrestling podcaster and content creator, Nick Teodoro. He is mostly on YouTube, but he has quite an entertaining show. He and his wife actually host a show together, just talking about the current trends in the business and breaking down shows and such. And it's definitely always a good time with the two of them. So before we wrap all of this up, do you have any final words? Anything you'd like to say to the audience that you haven't said as of yet? And we definitely want to see another glimpse of that new piece of hardware you got.
I can show you the hard. I'm more than happy to show off my my hardware at the moment. I will just tilt the camera down a bit so you can all have a view of the lovely championship. So just a couple of things, if you don't mind.
Please.
One thing is I'd like to thank Prize Wrestling Academy. They've given me my into the business. They've been supportive. The whole team are so friendly. Whether you're starting on day one, whether you've been in the business 10 years, they're great. Chris Rawls, the trainer, is such a nice guy. He's open to ideas. He's willing to have kind of chats and kind of see which direction you want to go. So if in kind of the UK, if you're in the Southwest, whether you're in the Midlands area, Prize Wrestling Academy on a Tuesday night, 8 till 10 at the Combat Academy, get down there. It's fantastic. Everyone's great, and I'd love to see you. You're not having this though, but it's fine. And also one more, I think I'd just like to have a little touch on, I think it kind of goes for everyone, is men's mental health. I'm quite an advocator, probably yourself, seen what mental health can do, more so the bad elements of it. So it's kind of, for me, I always say, if speak up, speak to someone. Wrestling can be a great environment, but it can also have elements that are quite negative. And I always said this on the CCP podcast. If anyone is struggling, if anyone needs to have a chat, my messaging is always open. I can't say I've got the answer, but I'm willing to be an ear for you to kind of have a chat with. But don't suffer in silence. There is people out there to help. And men's mental health does get missed. It does get put to the wayside. And I think it's very important that we kind of take it all on board and all try and do something about it to try and make the world a better place.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better, Martyn. This has been an absolute pleasure. And for those of you that have been watching this live, thank you. For those of you that will be seeing this on replays and such, thank you for that. If you like what we've got going here, definitely do the old like, comment, share, and subscribe. And until Wednesday night with Gage Holloway, be good to each other, love each other,